When someone is frightened, a stress response is initiated by their reaction to an environmental signal. But many signals don't stop here. A signal received by the brain can be passed on to many types of cells throughout the body and have widespread effects. Signals get sent around the body by traveling through the nervous system or bloodstream, going from cell to cell. You could think of the cell's sole purpose in life as keeping signals going or initiating new ones in response to the environment. Once a signaling molecule from the bloodstream reaches a cell and docks, the signal is passed into the cell. Like a miniature mousetrap game, the cell is filled with complex contraptions called proteins that bump and nudge each other to keep the signal going until it reaches its target. In this case, it's the production of yet another signaling molecule that will get released into the bloodstream, dock on other cell types, and cause them to react in a variety of ways. The signal-passing machinery inside the cell can look and work very differently, depending on the intended effect. Here we see a signaling cascade that results in the release of energy molecules. Once liberated, they are sent on their way via the bloodstream to power cells in another area of the body. When this tiny domino effect is triggered inside cells, some amazing things can happen. Other signaling cascades triggered during the stress response result in a variety of physical reactions. This signaling molecule can relax or contract different types of muscle cells. When it reaches the skin, the signal docks on muscle cells attached to a body hair. The tiny muscle is stimulated to contract, raising the hair. The signal also docks on cells wrapped around a sweat gland, which contract too, squeezing sweat onto the skin's surface. In the lungs, the signaling molecule docks on muscle cells wrapped around bronchioles. But these cells relax instead of contract to allow more oxygen into the blood. Because the protein machinery inside each kind of muscle cell is different, this single type of signaling molecule can cause both relaxation and contraction. Many signaling molecules work this way. When this signal reaches the heart, it docks on beating heart cells. Their response is to beat faster. Blood pressure goes up, and the signaling molecule is rushed on to still more cell types around the body. Constantly and in concert, cells must send and receive a myriad of signals. Cell communication is vital to keeping the body alive.
مساء الفل يا باشا. think of the acronym PCES, parasympathetic craniosacral. You should also think of C as standing for cholinergic. Cholinergic is dealing with the nicotinic, muscarinic receptors. The sympathetic space or cleft between the pre- and postganglionic zone is the site of the nicotinic receptors which bind acetylcholine, with the antagonist being hexampthonium. The acetylcholine binds to the nicotinic receptors, initiates a response, and then secretes acetylcholine at the terminal of the postganglionic neuron which binds to an effector. The muscarinic receptor on these effector cells have subsections, M, M2, M3. For the eye, parasympathetic constrictor, involving the circular muscle is M. Anything with the heart involves the M2 receptor. The M2 receptor mainly decreases the heart rate, the atrial contractility, and the action potential velocity. Then you have the M3 receptors starting from the bronchioles of the smooth muscle, to the GI tract, and to the bladder. For the bronchioles of smooth muscle it constricts airways. Parasympathetic is also in charge of the GI component, so it increases the GI tract motility. With the bladder, it contracts the bladder wall to empty, and constricts sphincters.